Hey, this is Brian. We're going to do some perspective today. Today we're going to be looking at inclined planes, like these kind of slanted roads going down and up San Francisco or some Italian villages, looks like. So we're going to create a little scene that kind of looks like down below with this kind of hilly side construction. So let's take some notes here real quick. Oops, I already had a layer. So one thing you'll notice is that if you do if snap some perspective lines here. I'm off the roof of that building. I'm going to use this line here as another kind of cue. These converge down here. So normally the horizon line, if that hill wasn't there, would be somewhere along here. And the fact that this road goes up beyond the horizon line means that this is going, it's a very steep hill going up. So the one trick to do here is I'm going to skinny this up a little bit is this vanishing point will be, for the road, will be somewhere exactly above the vanishing point for the building because they're parallel to each other. And so if I kind of traced out these roads here, and I'm just doing this roughly here, I can't really see this side here, but if this meets this point up here, that means then this side of the road probably goes up to here. Now it doesn't keep on going because it's not going uphill forever. So you could see it kind of tops out here and then levels and drives on to maybe goes back downhill or something or other. And then you can also see over here, this cue from the building is heading off, but this is going up, and so is the sidewalk starting to go up. And so we're going to try to recreate some of that feeling. And then over here, we're going downhill now. So like if you looked at these buildings again, let's just take the top of these windows and we'll kind of project them off, and you see that, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. Those all kind of come to a vanishing point somewhere out. I've got to extend that. Somewhere over here is the horizon. But yet this road is going down. Again, it's parallel to the buildings, so its vanishing point should be somewhere down below that vanishing point there. And so if I follow these down, and it looks like it kind of levels off for a minute, and then goes around a corner or something or other. So this first part, this first consistent steep part, goes down to about there. And if we trace this out, and so you can see now that that road is going downhill in this case. The previous one, it was going uphill. So this one is down below the horizon. And if we follow these, well, I can't quite tell. Those are windows are all parallel to each other, but these should go off to that same vanishing point up there. And then the road's going down. This can get a little confusing. So you want to actually kind of do your artwork carefully to make sure that the people read that as that it's going up and downhill. Because if we didn't have this horizon line, I'm covering it up with my hand, but you can't see that. Let's just try this for a second, just for fun. Let's get a big fat brush and white out all, sorry, there we go. Oh, that's a weird brush. Okay, let's just white out some of this stuff here. So if we didn't have that horizon line up there, you might initially just kind of think we're looking down a road, but that there's something weird going on with the buildings leaning. So now let's go back in. And if I just drew a little horizon in here, you might think, oh yeah, that's not too steep of a hill. So that horizon is actually really important. That was way up there to help you understand what's going on. So that's part of your job, is to make sure you can get some horizon in the picture somewhere. All right, so let's go jump into it. So I'm going to use a setup that we did from the previous exercise. So we've already kind of figured out our basic cube, and so I'm going to use that. I'm going to get rid of some of these because I know this gets really clogged up pretty quick. So we got this, and now we need a new layer. And I'm going to set up my perspective using this. I just copied this from the old one, but let's set up, I'm in Procreate. And just again, if you want to do that in Procreate, I want to go over to Canvas. Drawing guide, turn that on, edit drawing guide, go to perspective, and then just drop a point at each of these vanishing points. Boop. And whoops, yeah, that one's a little off. And technically your horizon line should be level. I kind of wish they would have a lock for that, but you just have to visually make sure that it's level. All right, so I've got a basic cube that I'm starting with that I already measured out to make sure that it was a perfect cube. Like I said, go back and look at that lesson to refresh yourself if you don't remember what we're doing. So in this scene, sorry, let's go over here. If you recall, this blue line is the cone of vision because we're at 30 degrees off of our center line of vision. And so I already can see that this cube is almost filling up my whole picture, but I want more of a city scene. So I'm basically going to use this as a start, but I'm going to divide it up into smaller pieces and make many buildings out of that first cube. So let's just delete those. All right, so first step, let's go ahead and just re-ink in that cube. And I always like to start with blue or kind of gray blue. Come on, make sure I got it right. Tool. And oh, and then one last step, we have to make sure that we turn on drawing assist. So we tap on that layer, drawing assist. If you're using a ruler or whatever, drawing by paper, just make sure you're always starting at those vanishing points and then moving over. All right, so the first step is, I'm going to use a kind of thinner pencil because this is going to get pretty busy in here. So first step is I'm just kind of re-inking this cube just so I have the, and see up here, these didn't quite come together, so maybe I'll start at this corner and go backwards. And I probably need the back of the cube, but I'm just going to draw that in much lighter. Oops. I don't like this new pencil with the eraser is always constantly switching on me because it has that little tap button on the side. And I know I could turn it off. I just every time I do this, I go, oh yeah, I should turn that off. Okay, so now see how these are not quite coming together. Let's check this one down here. I could see that I did draw it exactly like the old one, so it should be okay, but I just got to correct this for itself. So you can see now these are kind of coming together on the opposite side of that front. So let's do that. Yeah, and that looks better. And so now I'll get rid of that one. Oops. Okay. So there's my basic cube, and then I'm going to divide up the sides by drawing, weighting, snapping a corner over there and over here. And also the other reason why I wanted to divide this up because I want to put some different roof lines on these buildings. And right now this building is so tall, you can't even see the roof. So we're gonna, we'll take these kind of one side at a time, but the first one is this side. So I'm gonna find the center line and just go up. And so this is gonna now be two different buildings. And maybe I'll find the center line going this way also. So maybe I'll make one tall building. I think I'll make this one that's a little further back taller, like a apartment building, and then the one in front more like a little house or something rather. Right, and I'm kind of making this up as I go along, so I'm have to figure out what I'm doing. All right, so I want to give a little space between these two buildings. Although actually in San Francisco, a lot of the buildings are actually touching. This first one, let's give a little space between them. And one of the tricks I can do is just pick anywhere. I'll go up here and I'm just going to draw a line across these two diagonals, and where it meets one side, I'll go up and down. Where it meets the other side, I'll go up and down. So that'll give an equal amount of space between two equal sized buildings. And like I said, the first one will be really tall, and at some point we need to throw in a little human here for scale. And so maybe I'll do that now just so we can kind of start figuring out how big the doors and windows and things are. So I'm doing a new layer for this because um, I've got the perspective assist on the other layer, and then that it can't just freehand draw. It'll only conform to the perspective I've got set up. So this front, let's see, roof on that. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to make a little guy about maybe this tall. So this is kind of a further away scene. And I want this front building to be a little shorter maybe than the horizon. So it'll have a towering apartment building next to it. But so now I'm going to go back to my assisted layer. And so that means if I've got this one, so this is just going to be a kind of big, ugly apartment block building. And so I could carry that character over to be in front of this building. It's not going to change much in size in this short distance, but we are going to kind of just use that as a gauge to just kind of pencil in a doorway. So the doorway is going to be a little taller than the character himself, and I'm kind of going over and up to figure out the size. So anytime you're trying to transfer a measurement like this over to the building, I just go over to the bottom of the building, go up the side, go from the top of this over. And so if that person were leaning against the wall, they would be this tall. So that doorway is a little bit taller than that. And then maybe there's a window next to this. And I'm not really mapping out how wide that doorway is. I'm just kind of doing that visually at this point. But maybe there's a little window right next to the door. So this is kind of a big skinny apartment building. So if that's the size of the character, so this is one, let's say 6 foot tall human. I forget what the average is, but let's just say there's 12 feet in between each floor. So I'm basically just doubling that character size. And I'll put some sort of little division here. And then I'll take that measurement again. I'm just eyeballing this because I want to go quicker, but I could measure it. And so that'll be the second floor level. And then take this measurement again, and it's probably up about here. And usually there's some sort of rooftop stuff or whatever, so there's a little extra height on the roof beyond that top floor. And then maybe let's just quickly divide up this space. And so this little square division thing I can do on any, or it's actually a rectangle, anywhere on any level. So I could divide this up like this to find the center, and then I could divide each of these maybe kind of like we did with the division of the bricks to find a window size. And then if I, whoops, I want to go a little smaller in this. If I go over to hit each one of these diagonals, and I could see that one didn't go in the right direction, I can start mapping out a window detail. And this is close to the horizon, so I've got to be careful to make sure that it's working in perspective and not just doing horizontals. And then I can carry these across to the other side. Come on. Yep. And then where you hit those diagonals, go down. And again, I'm going to go through this pretty quick, but we could, decorate out the windows, each one of these like we did on the other buildings. Add a little bit of thickness, so maybe a little split there for the double windows. And then I can also go transfer this up. So I'm going to just divide, whoops, that's not quite in the middle. Divide this up here, and then transfer these up till I hit this X, and where I hit all these diagonals, just chase it around, and then also go over here. And this one, I could do the same X thing, but actually I have the height for over there, and then I can bring up the width from the lower window, so I could actually do it that way. All right, so I decided that this building's going to be this tall instead, so I'm just going to draw the roof line, and maybe there's some little architectural detailings that are sticking out or whatever. So there's the first kind of two-story apartment building or skinny little row house or whatever. And then now I'm going to do more of a, let's do a one-story house here. So again, I'm going to take the little dude height, I just push it over to the wall, run up the wall, and then push this over. And so that's the height of the character right at the surface of that wall. And then again, I'm gonna go a little higher, but I can also transfer this over from the other one. And maybe actually I'm gonna do the door on the other side. So what I'll do is I'll just go to this corner and then back to this corner. So now I'm transferring a measurement from one side to another side. And actually, before I put the door in here, I want to start doing some of these kind of inclined planes. So my first idea is to have over on this side, it's going to be a steep uphill. So here's my vanishing point currently. And so I'm just going to draw a line up and pick a point, and then I'm going to draw, I could actually do this the other way around. I could pick my angle. So let's do that instead. So I'm drawing this to my vanishing point, but now I'm going to angle it up and then go until I hit this line that's going straight up from the existing vanishing point for the buildings. And then I'd have to pick my width, and I'm not sure how wide a street actually is. I'm going to make this more a little bit like alleyways or something or other. So first we need a sidewalk. So let's just kind of guessing from that person. And now this perspective point is not mapped in my Procreate, so I've got to snap these all manually. But I first need a little bit of a sidewalk, so let's go something like that. And then there'll be some street, and I could see from my cone of vision and stuff that maybe I won't even see the other side of this, so I'll stop with that. And now I got to extend this building down to that level. Whoa. And let's just darken this up a little bit. Okay, so that's the bottom of the building now. Okay, so now on the other side, let's say this comes down and it levels out for a minute and then it goes back up. So this whole front of the building will just be normal. I'm just trying to decide if I should. I'm going to divide this. Well, let's see. Half a building. Well, let's just go with this. Okay. So this sidewalk is going to come down, and at this point, it's going to level out. So now this is actually going to the vanishing point. So right here, it transitions from going as if it were a flat plane now over to going uphill. And some of these streets in San Francisco get so steep they put stairs on them. I was thinking about doing that, but I might just put the stairs on the building instead. So let's give this side a little bit of a front yard. So we'll go to the normal vanishing point. So we're going to give this a little bit of yard space, and then the sidewalk will continue. And since this is a 2-point perspective, this is a little bit of a cheat, but I think I can do this. I can take that corner and project out from the center vanishing point and make this diagonal cut across these two so I can get the same thickness of sidewalk on either side. It's not totally accurate, but it'll be close enough. So I'll get rid of all that. All right, so the reason I put a little side yard in here is because we're going to do some stairs going up to this house. So we've got this first, where's the door? Over here. So this is the door height, but now we're actually, this guy's now floating in space because if he were walking down the sidewalk, wait, hold on, did I do this right? Well, we could put a little, we'll put a little balcony out there. He'll be standing out on a balcony. All right, let's go over this side. This is what I really wanted to do. Um, so, and I tend to turn this a lot, and I'm sorry, but it's just easier to draw that way. Let's just stay on this layer. Okay, so to make a stairway, um, we can make a box and then divide it up, and just kind of judging on the size of that person, I'm just going to kind of determine the length of or the width of the stairs, and these stairs need to go up to this height, and so I'm going to make a box first, and the stairs are going to kind of go sideways to the building. So and then technically I should know stairs are not 45 degrees steep. They're more like 2 to 1. I forget what the actual ratio is, but so what I'm going to do here, I'm actually, again, just in interest of speed, I'm going to kind of eyeball this. So I'm kind of making a rectangle because I don't want the stairs to be super steep. So there's my rectangular box. And then I'm going to change the color just so you can see it. Let's go to red for now. And then we'll actually add a little platform where you're standing. So we'll continue that over a little bit. And so this portion of it will be the stairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap a diagonal line from the top corner to the bottom corner. And I'm going to do the same on the other side and over to here. And then now I got to start dividing this up. So this is just a ramp up now, and I got to divide it up into stairs. And so since the verticals are not distorted, I can take equal measurements on the verticals. And so judging from my little person, which I should project around the corner, let's just do that for a second. So I'll do this in purple. So I'm going to take, he's actually, this is the height of the person. I moved it over to the side of the building. And then now I can take that over to the corner and over to this side. And, this seems like a lot of work, but once you kind of get used to it, you can do this really quickly. So this is the actual height of a person standing on the top of the stairs. So based on that, I'm just kind of going, all right, let's say this is the height of one stair. And I could take a look along this edge and divide this up equally. And again, I could use a measuring stick. I'm going to eyeball this because I am going quick. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Let's say that, and that. Okay, and we want an equal number so that the last stair isn't weird. And then what we can do is we basically take, let's change the color one more time, green. So we take each one of these back till we hit that diagonal. And we could decide this will be the first stair right there. And then so we go up from there. And now we bring this back. And we could just, you could break this up into steps if you want. See what I did there? Steps. That's what we're doing. So each one of these gets transferred over to this diagonal, and then a vertical it goes up. And I'm going to dim this a little bit when I ink it in because this gets a little bit cluttered. And there's the last step. And you can see they're actually getting a little bit smaller as we go back in perspective. So let's dim this down, oops, a little bit. And then we'll do a new layer. And I'll just go ahead and do this in black. All right, so we got the rung and the riser, I think they call it, but I got to turn on my assist again. Drawing assist. I think this is the riser and this is the rung. So we could just do all these first if you want. Up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. And there's the last one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottom stair, go over, go up, bring this across. But I can also, I could take this kind of point that touches the red diagonal. And if I bring that over to that red diagonal, these ones will end up touching the red diagonal. So because they do on this side. So I could just bring these all over first. So this is the kind of, not the tip of the stair, but the kind of, I don't know what you call it. Um, and now if I have that, I can go up, across, over. It just makes it a little easier. See how there I did it over first and I went a little long. But if I go up first, then over, and then back, up, over, back, and so on and so forth. And again, I'm just going to kind of block the beginnings of this out. I want you guys to kind of take this and run with it and make your own little city. I picked like a kind of hilly um, thing because this could also be a medieval hillside city, or it could be a futuristic thing or whatever. Okay, so there's a stairway right on the side of this building, and it goes up, and then we're going to go into some sort of doorway. And if we look back here, this was our doorway height, and so I've already got that marked in here, so I'll just put my doorway going all the way up to there. And now we don't want anybody to fall off this staircase. And so I'm going to put a little railing on there. So again, judging on the kind of height of the person, maybe the railing will go around this way, go over here. And then this one, these two red ones should go, let's go back to red and back to the other layer. So I'm going to turn this back up. Whoa, what's that? Ah. So the same thing with the kind of diagonals. This is like the uphill thing. It's an upstair thing, but if I drew this line, it would go over and meet at this vanishing point. And so the stairway is going to come and meet at a point above, about there. I got to extend this a little bit. Well, here, let's make this go up first. Okay, so it's out of my picture, but I think I got a sense of where it is. And so now if I snap that, I can figure out the railing with that. So let's go back now into my black layer. And here what I'm going to do, because this is like a little metal railing that's going to come down, I'm actually going to first, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's give it a shot. I guess it'll work. I'm going to erase the portion of the stairs that are getting covered. So it's right there. Over, snap to there. And now let's turn this back down again. And so this, now that I've got the line, I don't need to go back to the vanishing point because I can see my red underlay there. Oh, and I should have done this too, but oops, and I didn't go far enough. This one needs a little more length. And there's probably a little upright post here. And I probably, you could do some uprights every few feet or whatever. So let's see. Now this is going to be like kind of the basement level of that building. And so, like I said, over here, I was just going to add like a little short balcony where there's somebody hanging out here. And we've got the doorway height here, so we can go map this out again. I really should kind of figure out a way to make those doors the proper width, but I'm going a little bit quicker then. Okay, and then this one over here, we've got a door, but remember we've got that angled street, so we need a little kind of stairway here that probably comes down, and this one is going to come down we'll just do 2 stairs. Oops, actually, if we come all the way down to this angle, this is as high as we need to get up, and so maybe we bring this out a little bit, make this just come off of this, so this will just be like a little wedge, and this should be going up to that vanishing point for the angle of the road. And so maybe I need to make that sidewalk a little bit bigger just to make sure people can get up here, and then we'll throw another little railing here so that people don't fall off. We don't want any injuries here in my little city. Okay. So this, the other thing I wanted to kind of talk about is roof lines. And so this first building, we've got a little space in between the two. So here's the edge of the building. And then this one comes down, and then we got a, I don't know if this goes all the way to the ground. Maybe it does. Let's go all the way down to here. This one goes all the way down to the sidewalk. And then we'll draw angle back to indicate the building going back in space. And then I wanted to do this one short so we could start doing the roof lines. So let's say this is just as high as this, and we'll bring this around. So it's kind of a long, it's actually technically almost twice as long as it is wide, because we split that first part of the cube in half, but there's a little extra space in between. And then the second is the full length. So let's put a roof line on this, and I'm going to divide this up into, so we got the center line right there from the green diagonals below it, and the door just happens to go pretty much in the center. So this first half of this, we'll do a little pitched roof over from the side. So I need to divide this up, and I can do this again from any side, any square or rectangle or whatever. So I'm going to take this front face and divide it, find the center, and then I'm just going to pick a height for the roof. And so now this is going to be the height here, and so I just need to connect from that height down to the corner and down to the corner, and there is a pitched roof. And then I'm going to go back in perspective, and again, this one's really tricky because you got to make sure that you're really going back in perspective. And so I'm going to do this one all the way from the vanishing point just to make sure that. All right, so to get the other side, I can divide this. I drew the pitch of this. I've got the back corner of this wall. Is that right? Yeah. And so technically, this roof line should go off and up. Now this is a different angle, but it's going to go up and over that vanishing point. And so then technically I should be able to take the second corner, go up to that vanishing point, and then where that meets this roof line, I'm going to darken this up a little bit and go across. That would come down, or I could divide this back wall up into two sides, but I don't have the complete back wall. So this is why I'm not doing this. And then I could do this angle up, and where it meets the roof, just connect that off. But that is actually more important to see that angled incline. All right, so that's the first half of this building. And then the second half, let me erase this little piece right here. And you know, I'm already inking in stuff, and I shouldn't do it until I'm completely done because there's a lot of stuff that you need the lines for. But then you don't need those inked in, like the back side of that roof line I just did. So I don't need that. All right, and I don't know how long this building is going to be, but I'll just pick an arbitrary length. Okay, so that's that back building. And then I wanted to do this going up to another, let's go up one more floor. So I'm just going to kind of repeat this height about there. And this part of it has a little extension that's going up higher. Oh, and see, I already erased that one corner, which I need. So let's go back to our, I'm going to, even though this is going to be our final layer, I'm going to just turn it down a little bit. Go back to this layer. And let's see if we can re-find the that corner that we need. So if I go back in space and back over where those meet, that should be the vertical wall there. So we just need this piece of that. And this goes back to here. And now I'm going to do roof going the opposite way on this one. That is, let's divide this one up, divide, find the center, draw a little stick up, however high we want to go, we'll call it there. And then here I'm going to go, I'm going to draw this center line across and draw this stick height across. And then I need to draw the back side of this building where these two cross, right there. Oops. Oh, come on. Okay, so that's the back side of the building. So if I divided this up, 1, 2, so I'm looking through to the back side and then drew that little stick up. Now I've got this kind of center rectangle, and I got to connect the dots. And let's go back to my, now we know the roof is there. So I'm going to connect that corner to this corner. And now this one, I only need the front side because that's the only side I can see. All right, so now I got these two different levels with the roofs going. So this is a building with a similar type roof on it. Now let's do another building next to this. And this is where a lot of people make this mistake. They start making buildings wider and wider as they go back in perspective technically, and we want them to get to stay consistent to our proportions that we set up. So I'm going to do one over on this side just for a minute. Remember, we're going uphill, so this is the kind of angle we're going up. So this next building, I'm going to make it is the same width as this tall, skinny skyscraper. But first, I'm going to kind of map out on the ground the height. Oops, I want to do this in my non-inking layer. And boop. All right, so now we're going to do that kind of doubling technique, but this is a little trickier. I'm going to just thinking in my head. I'm going to give a little space between these buildings, and then I want an exact same size building. So but I'm going to ignore the road for a minute because I need the actual perspective. Um, so first I got to find the center line of that building, and we already did. I'm looking back through this green layer, and right there is the center in height, top to bottom. Or I could divide this up and find it again, but there it is. And let's change this a little bit. So right there, that's not enough. Let's go bright blue. Okay, right there is the center line. And then I'm going to pick a space for the next building. So this is where it's going to begin. And so now what I need to do is find the center of this space that I just drew. And I could draw big diagonals, but I could also just pick any space and draw two diagonals. So I just connected that across, because when they get really long, it's hard to find the center. And draw a line up to the center of this space. And now I'm going to draw two long diagonals. Let's go back to red. All right, so there's dead center. So I'm just going to do this new layer here. And I think that was, oh, I see what's going on. It was actually to the original height, which is way up there, but that's okay. Let's go back and use that. It doesn't really matter. So I'm drawing a long diagonal from the original height of that building through the center. And let's see, that will give me this side. Oh, and I already got the other side. Yeah, so now if I drew this up, that is the width of the new building with a little bit of space in between them. And again, let me just kind of clarify, this purple line actually is not dead center. So I had to actually go the long diagonal back up to the original one. I could just redivide this building up, and so that would be the center, but it works either way. All right, so now I got the width of my next building, and I remember from this one that there's two windows on there, and maybe we're going up in height, so this next doorway is going to be a little higher. So this whole kind of window structure should probably be a little bit taller on this next building, because maybe we're going to start our floor level at that point right here. And so we went up a little bit, so maybe each of those windows is a little higher. And again, I could divide this space up, find the center of this building, divide those spaces up, to find my next window. Oops, wait a minute. Oh, this is the height of a whole window, so this is a little bit misleading, but I can do this and then just extend this all the way up and down. So my windows are getting much skinnier. Let me do that again over here, because what I did is so this has got to be a little taller because the building is same height but up the hill a little bit. And so what I did here is I divided this whole space up. Oh, actually it's this. Okay, so this is like one floor, and then I divided up. This is what I did in the other building. I divided the whole floor. Oops, and see, these are not quite meeting up because I think my center is not quite on center. And then I divided, found the center, and then divided yeah, each side up. Okay, let me do that. And then, so I'm kind of just picking this window height and going over and then just moving it up because we're uphill a little bit. So there's one window. And again, this looks messy with all these lines on here, but once you ink it in, you can just ink in the important parts. And this can kind of work with that same diminishing details and everything, where these buildings, as they're going back in space, have less detail on them, and the ones in the foreground are more detailed. So, for example, I probably need some windows on this one, and let's see. Let's just put one giant big bay window. With a center divide. And again, I want to give it some thickness, so I'll draw it on both sides of that center line. And then these on the inside, and maybe a big. Okay, so that's just a nice big window there. And let's turn this opacity down. This one, come on, this one up. Whoops. Okay, so let's get one more building in here. And I'm going to do a slanty roof. So this will be more of a modern building. So I'll just, again, pick a little space in between here. And we'll go all the way down to street level. No, again, I'm on the wrong layer. That's one thing if you're not used to drawing in layers, if you get them messed up, it just makes it 10 times harder than if you just drew everything on one layer to begin with. But like I said, just draw everything in first and then ink it in second. All right, so this is the spacing. And this one is not assisted. Okay, so this one we'll put down, we'll make it a shorter building. So it's going to be more at the level of the street. And again, I'm just kind of guessing from this height, that's kind of a standard floor, and kind of just making that about the same. And then this will go over. And then I want it to be as wide as 1/2 of this cube again. So let's just pick any old space. We're going to find the middle. Here, let's do this. Okay, so we want it to be this wide. And so we'll find the middle of this space. I'm still recording. So we found the middle of this space, and then we'll project this over, and then we'll find the middle of this space. I know this seems, it just gets repetitive though once you get doing this. Okay, and then now a long diagonal from this corner through the middle of that corner and over to there and there. Okay, so this is the same width as this one. I just drew this blue square in. And let's do just a diagonal roof on this one. So this is going to be a whole new building. So there's the bottom of it. And I'm going to do a new layer just because this already is getting a little cluttered. Turn that down. And let's say, because this is going uphill, let's use that same vanishing point. So this is assisted. This is not. Come on. So where was my height? Okay. So here's the front of the building. And I'm just going to pick a back. It doesn't really matter that this goes. This is going to be a little small garage, let's say. So draw the whole cube. And then we're just going to put a slanty roof on this. And so what I want to do here is pick a height in the back. Let's go up really high here. And then just connect that across. And then, so this is like a little rectangle. And then I could just connect the corners down to the corners there. And that will give us a little slanty roof on that one. And then again, technically, if I went, the reason I keep saying technically is because a lot of times you don't actually have the luxury of having enough paper to go all the way up and off of your drawing. So mapping it out with the cube and then the diagonals is just as effective. But so you can see that slanty angle is over there. All right, I'm going to kind of wrap this up because obviously I can add more windows and details and stuff, but this is the basic gist of it. And actually, it's kind of funny. It almost looks like this. This has a slanty roof going backwards on this building, which you could certainly do. The one last thing I actually wanted to do is show you how to do a pyramid, but there's no room left in here. But it's very simple. I'll just draw it. Let's zoom way in here. It'll be a little some sort of trash can with a triangle, I mean a pyramid on the top. So I'm just going to kind of make up, again, based on the size of my character, a little trash can-y kind of sized thing. And this should be, let me do the top a little bit thinner. Now that's the thinnest this is, but okay, it's fine. Okay, or maybe this is a little architectural detail post or something or other. So if I find the diagonals on the top of this by going across and then find the center, and if I just draw a line going straight up from the center, and this one kind of lines up with this back one, but let's make a short one. It'll be a little easier to see. So I'll do it in red. So here's a little short stick coming up from the center of this square pillar. And then if I connect this little stick to each four corners, then that will make the pyramid top. And so depending on how tall it is, you may not see the other side. This one's a little short stop. So there's a little pyramid. Okay, all right. One last thing, sorry, is if you actually have this vanishing point, one of the nice things is if I had a bunch of boards that were running off this roof, I could go back to that vanishing point. I'd have to figure out the spacing by dividing it up, but I could draw all these vertical lines going back to that vanishing point. Oh, last part was the dormer, sorry. Not quite done yet. So let's turn that one down too. And we'll go over. So we want to put a little tiny dormer on this this one roof. Come on. And so I'm going to, I'll use this layer. And I'll do it in red. All right, so I need to find, I want the dormer centered on this roof. And so I need to find the center again. So Where is it? I don't see my line anywhere. Oh, that's why. Opacity was way down. All right, so first, come on, oops. What is the problem here? It won't draw. Okay, it just was waiting to snap. Okay, there we go. All right, so one diagonal, two diagonal, center, going up the roof a little bit, and then I got to pick how wide I want it. So I'm just going to pick somewhere on the diagonal and go up to the roof, and then go across and up to the roof, and then connect all those points. So I've got this and that. And then I need the point. This is where that the vanishing point comes in really handy. If I take this center line and go up to my vanishing point, and then the roof line, and head back in perspective. I think that's going back in perspective. Let's try this. And where that crosses over, then this connects down to the roof line. And now I've got a little tiny dormer on this. Now this is kind of the basic setup. You can, add roof details and things like that, and gutters and whatnot, but this is basic construction. So I know it looks a little messy. I would spend the time to ink this in, but I'm going to stop here for your convenience. All right, thanks for watching. And just, sorry, last little detail. Remember, look at the cone of vision, and this is my kind of picture frame that I'm dealing with. And so I want to make sure that I kind of pay attention to that. So already this red building I'm drawing is going out of my picture frame, so I don't necessarily need to draw anything beyond that. Anyway, okay. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.